If you want a sweet Anguilla, vote art. If you want a nice Anguilla, vote art. D1, vote art. D2, vote art. D3, vote art. D4, vote art. For the beautiful Anguilla, vote art. For crime-free Anguilla, vote art. D5, vote art. D6, vote art. D7, vote art. Vote art. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. If you want a sweet Anguilla, vote art. If you want a nice Anguilla, vote art. D1, vote art. D2, vote art. D3, vote art. D4, vote art. For the beautiful Anguilla, vote art. For crime-free Anguilla, vote art. D5, vote art. D6, vote art. D7, vote art. Vote art. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. If you want a sweet Anguilla, vote art. If you want a nice Anguilla, vote art. D1, vote art. D2, vote art. D3, vote art. D4, vote art. For the beautiful Anguilla, vote art. For crime-free Anguilla, vote art. D5, vote art. D6, vote art. D7, vote art. Vote art. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. If you want a sweet Anguilla, vote art. If you want a nice Anguilla, vote art. D1, vote art. D2, vote art. D3, vote art. D4, vote art. For the beautiful Anguilla, vote art. For crime-free Anguilla, vote art. D5, vote art. D6, vote art. D7, vote art. Vote art. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts. Vote art. 5 hearts.
I know you hear me praying so many times before, but I need you. You don't come, I'll perish. Yes, I will, but I'm waiting on you, Lord. Right.
Pleasant good evening to everyone gathered here tonight. This is the Anguilla Reliable Team Art. Our symbol is the heart for this 2025 general elections. And we are happy tonight to be here in George Hill once again to share with you, the people of Anguilla, the issues that are affecting us as a nation. But before we start tonight, I would like to say a word of prayer. God Almighty, we give you thanks because you are a good God. And we thank you for the love that you have shed abroad throughout the world And we thank you because you have always demonstrated that you have an interest in taking us to a desired haven. We give you praise, and we thank you tonight for this meeting. And I pray that you would give our listeners receptive hearts, so that as we speak and share concerning our nation, they will come to be enlightened and to understand and to follow your direction and your leading for this nation. We thank you and we bless your name. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. We in the art team, we have set out our plan for you, the people of Anguilla, and we say that we have a 15-point plan. We are well prepared to deal with the issues that are affecting you, the people of Anguilla. We also have given to you our 9 main points for our first 100 days in office. I pray tonight that as we come to you going down closer to election day, that you will set your hearts and your minds to support the heart, the art, vote for the art, vote smart, vote for the heart. Tonight, our very first speaker will be Comrade Aristo Richardson, our candidate for District number 5. Please make him welcome as he comes. Aristo Richardson.
Hear my prayer, oh Lord.
Good night. Good night to the people of Anguilla. Good night to the people on the World Wide Web. Good night, especially to the people in Road North District. I listened to the debate last night. Well, tonight we're going to examine something. The incumbent has clearly demonstrated it's a reason why they like this word, yes. I believe that the easiest candidate to clone is our representative of the Road North District. Because for his speech programming, you would only need 2 words, yes and okay. And you can basically enter him into any ESCO meeting or into any meeting that the party has. Merrick, I want to put a basketball court in Blowing Point. Would you support it? Yes, Hayden. Merrick, I want to pave a road leading to that same basketball court. Okay, Hayden. Merrick, I want to fix the Valley Road from roundabout to roundabout. Yes, Hayden. For over 40, 50 projects, all he can say is yes. Yes, okay. While in North Hill, there is a basketball court which he claims to participate on every week almost with the young children playing basketball. There's a section of that area that needs concrete now for more than 8 months. Less than 5 yards of concrete. And Merrick Richardson cannot find no means of getting that 5 yards of concrete poured when over 5 billion yards of concrete is being poured in Anguilla over the past 5 years. 5 billion yards of concrete poured in Anguilla. Roads, schools, all sorts of development. And he claims that he is in a working government. Imagine all that work going on. and he will be driving on the North Hill Road that is only second to a Coney Island. If you want to develop a back issue, drive that road, and you sure bet will end up with back injuries. I can say here publicly tonight that I voted for Merrick Richardson during the last election. And I can say clearly tonight that I am very, very, very disappointed in his representation over the past 5 years. And that is one of the reasons to why I have entered to be a candidate, to give people an opportunity to vote for someone that can get things done. Imagine you have a representative in a district and you see the schedule comes out for the beginning of the tourism season by cruise ships. And I take a picture of the sandy ground bathroom facility. I post it on social media. I said that this bathroom facility is totally unacceptable to have any tourist ship coming in and to see. I post this as soon as I got the list of the ships when they'll be coming. It was more than 6 weeks' notice. I post it and I leave it for 2 weeks. And there was not even a response from nobody, whether the tourist board or from government, to say that they will address it. Because we sit across from the bathroom playing dominoes at Sandy Ground when we have a little spare time. So after I see that there was no effort by the government or the tourist board to fix the bathroom facility, I took it upon myself and went and further investigate. The louvers were made from aluminum. There was 2 missing and a number of them damaged. I take my time and take out the rivets and re-rivet them. After I finished repairing the windows, I then got some help, assistance from the young men in the village, Mr. Claudel Richardson and Sylvan Perkins, better known as the Drift. And these guys say, Aristo, if you're going to fix it, we're going to work with you and we're going to get this thing done. And we started to paint up the building. And as we did that, an idea just come to me. Aristo, why don't you put a design on it? I went and I get Susan Craft from South Hill to come down and look at it. I say I wanted dolphins on it. She said, Aristo, there's dolphins all over. Why don't you just lead me do what I want? I say, Susan, go ahead. And today, it is a pleasure to see tourists that even the cruise ships now feel so comfortable and relaxed that they set up their welcoming tent next to a toilet. Imagine people coming and taking pictures next to a toilet because it looks so presentable. But if you are happy with the investors doing what they like with jobs and works permits, you can go and vote for Merrick. If you want to see Anguillians taking up lead positions and playing leading roles in job market, then you have to vote for the Art and vote for Aristo Theodore Richardson, the Heart. If you want a leader who hides from responsibilities, from taking up commanding positions in the affairs of government, your man is Merrick Richardson. If you want a leader If you want to get leftovers in a 5 years term of government, to be thought of only in the last minute where you'll see them coming and putting down stakes to the side of the road, saying that they're marking out to do roads. We too smart for that. We too smart for that. That is a little too late. Because they themselves say that they will finish it. But they only put down markers. If you want a budget that tramples you and your dignity and future of your children and squeeze you hard and take your blood money to brag about progress, then you can vote for the APM. But if you want a government that will balance the budget with sensitivity to the human factor and seek investment to develop the country and leave your hard-earned money in your pockets to spend on your families, then vote for the art and vote for Aristotle Theodore Richardson, the heart. If you want a country that is developing in a rush and leave the small man behind to beg his bread, then your vote is surely for Merrick. But if you want a country that develops at a rate where a small man can hold his own and be recognized for the contribution made to society on a level playing field, then you vote for the heart. If you want leaders that the hoteliers refer to as Mr. Steak and Mr. Potato, then vote for Merrick. If you want leaders that the hotels respect, then you vote the art and Aristotle Theodore Richardson the heart. If you want leaders who have honesty when campaigning and will betray the people's trust in less than 24 hours after the polls close, then you know you can vote for Merrick. If you want leaders who live and die by their words and who will never betray your trust, then your vote must go to the art and Aristotle Theodore Richardson the heart. If you want a team that campaigns together and a few months after disintegrates and create confusion and chaos in the country, then you vote APM, Merrick. If you want a team that is reliable and steadfast and will work together as one, then you vote the art and Aristotle Theodore Richardson the heart. If you want a team that has to abuse parliament to get the ex-CEO members to pass laws and plunder and murder the people, then you vote for Merrick and the APM. If your heart is yearning for a team that will be of the people, by the people, and for the people, then your vote will be with the art. If you have suffered as a consequence of the GST and your children had to do without because GST and all its multiple sucking tentacles sucked the lifeblood out of you and you want another 5 years of it, then your vote would be with Merrick. If you want relief from the GST on electricity and food, shipping, freight, and insurance, then you vote the art and Aristotle Theodore Richardson. If you want the Chapel Hill Road to be built, a bigger and extended small boat jetty, a tourism cruise ship port, North Hill connected to Sandy Ground Road, clean cemeteries, clean beaches, more development and order in Sandy Ground, more jobs and better wages in Sandy Ground, tourists visiting businesses in North Hill and South Hill, a leader who will serve like Edison Beard and Sir Emil Gums, the pond to be a natural habitat and moonlight events, places to sit and relax in Sandy Ground, North Hill, and South Hill. The elevation of our national sports. The elevation, the preservation, the uplifting, giving respect and honor to both races by having reasonable and sensible prizes instead of just consolation. These guys in the boat racing need respect. They need honor. We need the security of the beach lands we use on August Monday. We need to make sure that those lands are secured and in the possession of the government of Anguilla so that we can always have those activities going on. A festival that draws tourists and locals to Sandy Ground. Develop of marina, but that will be in the sea. You see the pictures that I post. You see how close the boats come up to the point. We can have a marina built from the northern side of the hill going west and gently curving into the Bay of Sandy Ground. Well thought out traffic congestion. That is a big issue in Sandy Ground. And I know that with the art party and their support, I will be able and we will be able to establish a traffic and parking solution in Sandy Ground. If you want to see these plans come to reality, vote for Aristo Richardson, the Heart. Thank you and good night.
In this upcoming election that has laid out the plan squarely for you, the people of Anguilla, has been the Anguilla Reliable Team. And we have gone a step further to lay out for you our 9 points that we intend to do within our first 100 days in office. And one of those strong points that we laid out for you, the people of Anguilla, that we are committed to is a sectorial minimum wage with $10 in the hospitality sector. It is time for our people that work very hard in the hospitality sector to earn a decent wage for building the tourism plant and product here in Anguilla. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for our next speaker, Marvo Webster Duncan. She is running at large. Her symbol is the heart. Marvo Webster Duncan.
Night, Anguilla. I am Marvo Merlin Duncan Webster, the at-large candidate. I would like to speak to you tonight on many topics. And as an at-large candidate, I want to focus on the issues that address the needs of the entire population, ensuring that there is equitable development and unity across all districts. 1, economic development. We can do this by diversifying the economy, reducing reliance on tourism for fostering growth in other sectors such as technology, financial services, agriculture, and renewable energy. Small business support, creating programs to support local entrepreneurs through funding, training, and market access. Job creation, by promoting initiatives that generate employment opportunities for our young people and returning residents. 2, infrastructure and housing, road networks and utilities. And do this by upgrading road systems, improving water supply, and ensuring reliable electricity and internet access island-wide. Affordable housing, addressing the need for accessible and affordable housing for all income levels. Disaster preparedness, strengthening infrastructure to withstand hurricanes and other natural disasters. 3, education and youth development. Education reform fit for purpose by enhancing the quality of education to reflect foreign languages in our curriculum, increasing teacher training, and modernizing facilities, especially in these difficult times of so many gun crimes and the rising tide of violence of all kinds that has seemingly infiltrated our island, our paradise. 4, education and youth development. Can do this by education reform, by enhancing the quality of education, increasing teacher training and modernizing facilities, increased security, especially in these difficult times of gun crimes and the rising tides of violence of all kinds. Scholarship and training programs, expanding opportunities for higher education and vocational training. This policy will also improve access to tertiary education. Youth engagement, developing programs that empower young people to participate in governance and community building by bringing back the village that it took to train and raise our children. I am one of those that came from that generation, and it really needs to return. 5, health care. Upgrading healthcare infrastructure, including hospitals, mental health departments, and clinics. Providing access to services by ensuring access to affordable and quality health care, including mental services. 6, environment and sustainability. Climate change resilience. Can do this by we can do this by implementing policies to mitigate the effect of climate change, such as rising sea levels and extreme weather. Conservation, by protecting marine and terrestrial ecosystems, promoting sustainable tourism, and enforcing environmental regulation. Renewable energy, by transitioning to solar, wind, and other renewable energy sources to reduce dependence on imported fuels. 7, governance and transparency. Public accountability, by promoting transparent governance through regular public consultations and audits. Constitutional reform, addressing issues related to Anguilla's political status and autonomy. Community involvement, by ensuring that citizens have a voice in the decision-making process. 8, crime prevention, by strengthening community policing and youth intervention programs to reduce crime. Cultural preservation, Can do this by promoting Anguillan culture and heritage, arts, music, and history initiatives. Social networks can do this by expanding programs for the elderly, disabled, and vulnerable populations. Revisiting the laws of Anguilla as it relates to violence and gun crimes. Also penalties including imprisonment for parents with children under and up to the age of 18 years. Currently, some of the laws are absolutely not fit for purpose. They are obsolete, antiquated, and must be revisited. Subsequently, eradicate violence. 9, regional and international relations. Collaboration with neighbors. Can do this by strengthening ties with other Caribbean nations to tackle shared challenges such as climate change and regional security. Diaspora engagement by encouraging Anguillan diaspora to invest and contribute to national development. Note well, Anguilla Reliable Team, the team that has a heart, is committed to and aims to develop comprehensive and inclusive policies that reflect the aspirations and needs of the entire population while maintaining Anguilla's unique identity and values. My brothers and sisters of Anguilla, this 2025 election, vote for 5 hearts, the Art Party, the party with a heart, the party, and remember this adage, divided we will fail, but united we shall stand tall. Good night, Anguilla. And thank you in advance for your votes.
A heart like yours is what I'm searching for. Full of compassion, nothing wrong with it. Please hear me, Lord, give me a heart like yours. So much grace, so much kindness.
Yes, thank you, Sister Marvel. And when you go out to vote on the 25th and on the 26th, remember to vote for Marvel Duncan the Heart. She's going to be an asset to the art team. So go on out and vote for Marvel Duncan Webster the Heart. We have 9 objectives that we intend to fulfill within our first 100 days in office. And the second one, apart from the $10 minimum wage, sectorial for the hospitality sector, we intend to take GST off of household electricity bills. We will also take the GST off of CIF, which is cost, insurance, and freight for shipping. We in the Art Party believes that we live on an island and we cannot escape having to import stuff here to Anguilla. Therefore, we believe it is criminal, it is wrong to tax the people of Anguilla for bringing anything to Anguilla because we live on an island and therefore it is a way of life. The tax must not be a burden, stopping people from being able to live a reasonable life here in Anguilla. Our next speaker for the Art Party is a gentleman that lends his support to us from the Spanish community. Please make welcome Mr. Wong Thomas.
Good night, everybody.
Where you
I'm very contented, very happy. It's an opportunity, it's a pleasure to be in front of you guys. What a reason I come here for the second time is to ask you to vote for the art. The art is a party that got a plan for you. We got a plan for better. We got a plan for the youth, the one that is supposed to support our economy in the future. We got a plan for the elders. We also have a plan to the working class. I want to tell you that I smell the rat. Calling only election in Anguilla is because the actual government know for a fact that they cannot deal with this 600 million budget. And there is a rat that we're smelling. And the same way that they say that they wasn't going to implement GST and the winner election without comment, I will tell you that the rat I smell is a lot worse than that. I will leave this to you, and I would like to explain to my Spanish community. Muy buenas noches. Unas de las razones específicas por la cual yo estoy apoyando este partido es porque este partido tiene un plan. Tiene un plan el cual beneficiará a la raza obrera. Le dará beneficios que jamás se le habían dado. Este partido tiene plan para bregar con viviendas para nosotros, para que dejemos de estar alquilando casa y seamos propietarios de casa. Este partido quiere dignificar el deporte nacional de nosotros aquí en esta isla. Este partido quiere que nosotros nos sintamos como se sintieron los que fueron allá y consiguieron hogar, familia y casa. El partido del corazón verde lo que quiere es el bienestar para la ciudadanía de Anguilla y para la comunidad más famosa y más voluptuosa que hay, que es la comunidad hispana en general. No solamente la comunidad dominicana, sino también la venezolana, la colombiana, todas las que hablan hispana. Y nosotros tenemos la oportunidad de votar por un partido que nos va a representar y el cual yo voy a estar para cerciorarme que sea así. Señores, este partido que llamó a unas elecciones tempranas está escondiendo la verdad, y es que quiere aumentar el GST. Ellos necesitan aumentarlo por un 12% y llevarlo a un 25%. Imagínense si con 13 nos fue malísimo en 5 años. Nos irá peor con 25%. Y ellos no quieren tener un gobierno de reestructuración ni de visión. Ellos apuestan por un gobierno de endeudamiento para pagarse con el bolsillo del trabajador dominicano, del trabajador extranjero y de todo el que consume aquí en la isla. Le pido por favor, honestamente, que no le den su voto. Por favor, no voten azul. jamás vuelvan a votar azul. Es la desgracia más grande, la traición más grande que se le ha hecho a nuestra comunidad. Muy buenas noches. Que tengan una noche formidable. Thank you. Bye.
Te adoraré. Milagroso, abres camino, cumples promesas, luz en tinieblas, mi Dios, así eres tú. Vamos, cántalo. Hey. Milagroso, abres camino, cumples promesas, luz en tinieblas, mi Dios, así eres tú. Aquí estás, tocando mi corazón.
Thank you, my brother Wang. And those of you in our Spanish community, our Dominicanos living in Anguilla, in the years before Anguilla had anything to offer, many of our forefathers, our grandmothers, great-grandmothers, great-grandfathers, they went to Santo Domingo to make a life. So we welcome you here because you are a part of us, and together we are going to build Anguilla strong. So we thank you for your interest, and we ask you when you go out to vote, remember to vote for El Corazón Verde. Vote for the Green Heart, because this is the party, this is the team that is going to make a difference. I know firsthand the relationship between Anguilla and Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic, because my grandmother was born in San Pedro de Macorís. She came to Anguilla 100 years ago. She had my father, Pastor Ambrose Richardson, in Blowing Point, and my father had me right there in Blowing Point as well. So I know what the Dominican Republic has meant to Anguilla when Anguilla had nothing. Now that Anguilla is able to provide a life for people, there are those who do not like, they do not welcome the Dominicanos as a part of us here in Anguilla. But together I say to you, juntos, together we will build this country proud, strong, and free. Go out on election day and vote for El Corazón Verde. Vote for El Corazón Verde. Vote for the Green Heart. We have 9 things that we intend to do within our first 100 days in office. And water 24/7. We will make it rain water 24/7 again in Anguilla. When I became the Minister for Infrastructure, there was no running water in Anguilla. God inspired me and He taught me what I was supposed to do. And thanks be to God, I was able to provide water 24/7. Many people are once again engaging in that sport called cooping the pipe. You don't know when the water is going to come, so you are cooping the pipe. But once again, the art team is going to stop that sport called cooping the pipe. Put your hands together and make welcome our next speaker for the art team, Mr. Romel Hughes, another at-large candidate in the Anguilla Reliable Team. Vote for the heart, Mr. Romel Hughes.
Good evening to the ladies and gentlemen following us on social media. Also, good evening to the good people of District Number 4, Valley South. Specifically, good evening to the people of George Hill. I will be contesting this 2025 general election as a single island-wide candidate and a proud member of the Anguilla Reliable Team, the ART. I am also here to tell you tonight that we are at the ART Party are in this election to win it. We are campaigning in this election to be your next administration on the 27th of February 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, in financial year 2022, we here in Anguilla had a recurrent budget of $25 million. The year 2022 is the same year when GST was enacted by this APM administration with the specific purpose of raising $22 million to meet a budgetary shortfall. In 2024, the budget expenditure was estimated to be $438 million, a 95% increase from the 2022 fiscal year. And in 2025, the estimated expenditure is now more than $560 million. The question is to you listening to us, do you all know where this additional hundreds of millions of dollars are coming from? Do you all know? Well, those millions are coming from us, the tax-paying residents of Anguilla, via the same GST, which was estimated to generate $22 million in the second half of 2022. In 2022 and 2023, the Premier indicated to us that GST was overperforming, but in 2024, he stated that it was underperforming, even though they had collected more than 3 times as much money in 2023 as they did in 2022. At no time, however, did he indicate what the performance was being measured against. I can tell you now, the Anguillan public, that the Premier was measuring the performance of GST relative to his gimmicks, relative to the gimmick expenditure he had envisioned, expenditure which they had devised to get re-elected. That is taking your money via GST, then giving it back to you in the form of a food voucher for your elderly relatives and making deposits on your electricity account instead of paying the government electricity account. Ladies and gentlemen, if this administration were to pay their electricity bill when it becomes due, we would not have to pay the high fuel surcharge that they have been charging us. We need them to honor their obligation and do their part in ensuring that we can live here on this island. They aim specifically to bamboozle you into voting for them a second time. But don't let them fool you, my dear people. You can spend your own money more appropriately and efficiently than any government will ever be able to do. Let them know that their gimmicks can't work. Let them know by sending them packing after this 2025 general election and replacing them with an administration who truly cares about you, the people, an administration who puts the welfare of you, the people, at the front and center of their policies and their decision-making. The Anguilla Reliable Team is your smart choice for this 2025 general election. An experienced, visionary team with a proven track record, which none of the other parties can deny. They can't deny it. You know why they can't deny it? Because their claim to fame, both of them, their claim to fame has been built on the visions and actions of our leader in Curtis Love Richardson. For months and months, You, the people of this precious country, have been crying out for relief from the escalating cost of living generated by this Anguilla poverty movement. The poverty movement introduced this GST tax, which was crafted by the Anguilla United Front. They both are culpable in that regard. They introduced this tax to create the cost of living that you have had to endure. Our premier, the leader of the Anguilla poverty movement, blamed everything and everybody else other than the draconian tax called GST that was designed by the United Front and imposed by him and his cohorts for it. He went on as far as to say, as far as to be equating supermarket owners and traders with criminals for gouging you, the people of their country. But you know who was gouging their people? It was this administration. This administration was the criminals, is the criminals who should be arrested and charged for their activity. After hearing the prolonged moans and cries of our people, we, your knights in shining armor of the Art Party, all dressed in green, led by Curtis Love Richardson, rose to this rostrum and beseeched the Premier and his poverty movement of their folly towards you, the good people of this land. Due to our unrelenting assault on your behalf, so as to redress your distress, the Premier and his cohort blinked and did as suggested and requested by us, providing you with some relief. They wanted to provide that relief for 2025. But you know what? We said no. Have that relief in time for Christmas. Have that relief for our people in time for Christmas. And there it was. He could not deny the fact that Anguillians were hurting seriously by the GST. And in response to making it well known and pellucidly clear to him and his cohort that Anguillians were hurting bad and needed that relief, he subsequently blinked and relented. That relief came 19th of December 2024 for all their people in response to our charge. Our charge, we, the Anguilla Reliable Team, will govern with love and compassion for the people we serve. Our mantra is to first do no harm to those we have been put in charge of, and secondly, to ensure that they have a better way of life by the actions we take and the policies we make. But make no mistake, my dear people, this fight is not over by a long shot, as the relief enacted in December is only a band-aid, and it does not fix the structural deficiencies associated with that horrible legislation. We cannot and should not allow foreigners who live in London and Florida and elsewhere to decide how we on this island live as they don't have a clue of our dreams and aspirations for ourselves and our families. Thus, I advise you to be cautious and not to be fooled. Not to be fooled, my good people, because if you make that mistake and return those two political parties to office after this 2025 general election, your living conditions on this land will only get worse. The living conditions on this land will get worse. Let me tell you that one of them is the designer of that tax. They are the designer of the current conditions, and the other is the implementer and creator of the same. You know why? You know why the conditions will get worse? Do you know why the conditions will get worse if you return them to office? Because, as I said earlier, they add $300 million to the budget in just less than 3 years. And to make that additional money, you know what they have to do? They have to increase GST to around 25%. They have to increase GST to 25%, and it is very likely that they will put it back on the food stuff that they claim to give you the relief from. Very likely they will have to do that. These two parties, they behave like conjoined twins, joined at the hip and at the head, and they are void of any purposeful ideas as to where they will like to lead you, the good people of Anguilla. I am advising you this election cycle that you all should vote smart. Vote for the art political party to lead this country out of the dark yesterday and today and into a brighter tomorrow for all of us. All and sundry should come along. Recently, the Premier started to talk about a fishing processing plant as if it is intended to be his election campaign project intended for Island Harbor. It is unclear if this project is intended to benefit the entire island. But if it did, I will advise the Premier that the siting of the plant should not be an issue, since there is infrastructure in place of an abandoned fisheries project in Sandy Ground. On the north side of Sandy Ground, there's a spot that holds 3 containers, electricity infrastructure, transformers to support a fisheries project. The land is not in question because the land was purchased by government. So if the Premier was so interested in having a fisheries plant, he shouldn't have to be arguing about where to put the plant. There's a space for the plant. But you see, my dear people, the fisheries project is only intended to get the dear leader of the poverty movement re-elected. And that is the reason why he's so hell-bent on having it in Island Harbor. He is hell-bent on having it in Island Harbor. He doesn't care about the rest of us. He is hell-bent on having his fisheries plant in Island Harbor. It is unclear, as I said, where he wants to put the plant. But if he did, he will move to Sandy Ground and put the plant there. As some of those in Florida have spent most of their time there, I don't think he knows about the site in Sandy Ground. He spent most of his years living in Florida. In fact, he's on record as saying Florida is his home where he go to relax and enjoy the comforts of his pool and his living room. He will make decisions here for us, and then let's go to Florida and get away from those decisions. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen? We will have to live here and live with those decisions. He don't. He don't have to live with them. He can go home. I was always of the belief that if there's a person within the private sector who has ideas, passion, and willingness, as well as being a member of a specific fraternity and the interest in developing such a project, then it should be government's responsibility to get out of their way and facilitate such an entrepreneurial undertaking, and definitely not to take over the idea for their own personal and political gain. That is exactly what the leader of the poverty movement have been doing. That is exactly what he have been doing. This type of behavior is not a one-off. This type of behavior by the poverty movement leader is not a one-off. And it is not an isolated incident. If it were, he'd be able to answer these questions. Why is it we haven't seen the agreement between the government of Anguilla and the American company who have been given the responsibility to manage the .ai? Why is it that this agreement, which is a public document, have become so secretive? I believe they probably have that document hidden somewhere in the Library of Congress so that we can get at it. Premier Webster, you should bring the document and have it displayed in the library so that all and sundry can see and read what it is included, so that we can determine for ourselves that there's no nefarious reasons why it has been hidden for this length of time. Don't hide documents that is belonging to the people of this dear land. Premier Webster, why is the Premier so insistent on a PPA for renewable energy with ANGLEC? ANGLEC, which is a private company. Why is the Premier so insistent on such an arrangement for electricity production? Ladies and gentlemen, make no mistake about it. If we go down that road, the benefits that would otherwise accrue by transferring to renewable energy will be lost. Most of them will be lost. Because you know why, my ladies and gentlemen? In a PPA arrangement, ANGLEC must pay that company whether they produce energy or not. They must pay them a minimum serviceable fee whether they produce energy or not. But you know what? ANGLEC have to still keep and maintain its fossil fuel generators just in the event that they cannot produce any solar energy or energy from renewable systems. ANGLEC must maintain those systems. Therefore, there will be no cost savings. In fact, the cost will go up because we will have to pay all the maintainers. We will have to pay to ensure that those generators are in working conditions, while at the same time paying for renewable energy, sometimes which we might not get. We may be able to save on fuel if they can produce energy, but the cost savings which will accrue will be minimal at best. And therefore, if we want to realize the cost savings, ANGLEC have to do it. ANGLEC must do the investment itself. And you know what? The investment is available under climate change resiliency, under climate change mitigation. The finance is available. Grant financing is available to ANGLEC. Private entities can't get that grant financing, not private entities. So if we were to follow the Premier lead, we will be no better off financially here on this rock. So be careful, my dear people. Be careful in who you return to power after this 2025 election. The art team is here. The art team is here to ensure that you, the Anguilla people, can enjoy the fruits of your hard-earned labor without having to fork out thousands and thousands of dollars every month to be able to pay for electricity that we may or may not get. Another thing that is the Premier should answer: why has one investor been given the right to own so many different hotels and land development sites on the island? Why? Why are we concentrating so much economic power in the hands of one investor? That investor can hold any government to Anguilla, if he so choose, to ransom. If one investor owns 3 and 4 hotels on this island, and for some reason the government didn't see fit to give him some concession that he might want, all he have to do is say, he have 3,000 employees, he gonna send them home. Which government in Anguilla could turn a blind eye to such? If an investor is gonna say he's gonna send home 3,000 employees, he's gonna put them on the breadline. The policy of ensuring that an investor only have access to one development property in Anguilla was to safeguard against that. That policy was in place to safeguard against an investor looking to blackmail the government. This administration have taken that policy, thrown it up, and threw it in the waste paper basket, and then flush it down the toilet. They are now beholden to a couple of investors on this rock. Beholden to them. The next question that this premier should answer, he should give us a full-throated explanation. The rumor that the premier, over the last 4 years, 4.5 years to be exact, has amassed a real estate portfolio in his home state of Florida larger than that of its governor, Ron DeSantis. How come our premier been living in Florida for over 40 years, but he didn't own such a large real estate portfolio then? The rumor has it that within the last 4 years, he have amassed a real estate portfolio larger than that of the real estate portfolio of the Florida's governor. How could something like that happen? If there's any truth to these rumors, the premier should say, he should come and give us a full-throated explanation if it is required, or defunct the rumors. Deny the rumors. How can he be trusted if this is the case? Premier Epster, you need to come clean with the people of Anguilla. The people of Anguilla should not be taken for a joyride. Come clean. Give us a full-throated explanation and accounting concerning the rumors out there circulating. This administration was elected based on an agenda in which they said many things, including that they were going to be transparent and accountable. So we at our team are calling for this administration, and specifically the premier, to give a full-throated explanation and accounting for all the rumors that is circulating out there. We need to know. We want to know. In this political season, it is important that we know so that we, the people, can make an informed decision as to how and who should lead this country into 2030. Who and how they should lead this country into 2030. It is now time, Premier, that you come clean with us. But then again, how can we believe anything the Premier says when we have watched in horror his total disregard of his campaign promises and the full implementation of those things which he told us were taboo? And he did them all the same. He implemented them all the same. How can we believe him? We're probably going to have to get Scotland Yard to come down here and interrogate him to make sure that what he's telling us is the truth. Because he told us so many things during the campaign. Like what he said about the banking report while campaigning, as compared to what he said about the banking report upon coming to office. Huh? The two things that he said is diametrically opposed to each other. So how can you believe such an individual? Like what he said about the cost of medical fees and prescriptions. The cost of medical prescriptions while campaigning as compared to what he did when he went to office. One of his very first actions as the Minister of Health and the leader of government business upon coming to office in 2020 was to double the fees, double the hospital prescriptions fees, and the medical fees. This is a man who's on record as saying that he will ensure that every person on this rock, every person in this land would be able to afford the medication that they require and to be able to visit a doctor in our hospital. But upon coming to office, the very first thing he did was to double the fees. Like, what was he saying concerning GST while campaigning? We all know that there's many videos out there with the Premier indicating that GST was going to cause poverty. Why do you think the APM is termed the Anguilla Poverty Movement? He himself indicated that GST was going to cause poverty in this land. But to hell with what I said, he would be saying, we're going to do what we want. And there he did. He went and did what he wanted and imposed GST and had poverty spreading through this island like wildfire. Thanks to Curtis Love and his team, the pressure that he was brought on Premier Webster and his cohort, he had to relent. He had to relent for two reasons. The pressure one, and he recognized that the election was coming. Election was approaching, and he wanted to stay on his gravy train. So he relented. He relented and provided some relief. But don't make any mistakes, my dear people. That relief he provided is supposed to bamboozle you into giving him a second term. Don't be fooled. Another thing he said to us during that campaign was that he didn't want the $100 million that was given to us by the British government during the onset of COVID. The country was locked down. There was no money in the country, no money coming in. So the British government, the previous administration negotiated with the British government and was given $100 million to ensure that we could get through the crisis that we were in. Premier Webster on the rostrum in 2020 clearly indicated that he don't need $100. It is as if he was trying to tell us that he had a pot of money bigger than that of Elon Musk. He had a pot of money out of which he would dip in and finance the activities of the government because he said, not me, he said, that he don't need $100 million. He can do better than the $100 million. But you know what? When he got in office, in no time he spent the $100 million. He spent the $100 million, and then they are now touting that there was no money in the treasury. Well, if there was no money in the treasury, how did they pay the civil servants? Don't be fooled, I tell you. That $100 million went a long way into paying the government civil servants. It went to paying the government civil servants. So with this litany of flip-flopping, how can we believe anything that comes out of the mouth of Premier Webster? It is as if the Premier and his colleagues have been playing reverse psychology on you, the good people of this land. Now they don't want you to believe your own eyes. They don't want you to believe your ears, as they will tell you that your own eyes and ears are lying to you when you were to ask them about these things. They didn't say them, but you know what? The videos don't lie. The videos don't lie. They have been documented. They are documented. The videos don't lie. So if they want to tell you that you shouldn't believe your lying eyes or your lying hearing ears, it is they are lying, not you. You have the facts. Don't be fooled. You have the facts. Don't be fooled, my dear people. You should know better, my dear people, because those of us who feels it, we know it. We know the pain that GST brought upon us. And for months and months, years actually, he refused to admit that GST was causing pain and poverty throughout this land. He even went as far as to term shoppers and traders in Anguilla as criminals. He equated us to criminals. Because I'm a shopper. I run a small business. I do imports and I sell. Premier, Webster, termed us criminals. They are guilty as charged, and you, the electorate, as judge and executioner, you, the electorate, as judge and executioner, you can and should sentence them to the penalty of abandonment and send home after the 2025 election. Vote them out. They don't deserve the position that they have. They have breached almost every promise they made to you during the 2020 general election. For that, they should be penalized. And as judge and executioner, you, the voter, you, the electorate, have the right to cast judgment on them. And I am proposing that the judgment that they should have is to send them home, send them out to pasture. There is no more gravy train for them. Send them where they belong. I am warning you, the good people of Anguilla, don't be fooled with that poverty movement. Don't be fooled by the electioneering gimmicks, as they do not have your best interests at heart. They do not possess the capacity nor the historical perspective to get us from where we were to where we are to be. They do not have it. Cock-a-doodle-doo, they said. They fooled us. Yes, they fooled us in 2020. They fooled us in 2020. Cock-a-doodle-doo, they fooled you. They fooled us. Then, but if they fooled us twice, the next time it would be on us, not on them, because their record is clear to see. Their record is clear to see. If they fooled us and we drink their Kool-Aid, that's on us. That's on us. Therefore, as judge and executioner, you, the electorate, you have the right to cast sentence on their performance. And that performance is a dismal F. A dismal F. A F minus. They should be sent packing. Sent packing for the reneging on the promises they made to us, the people of Anguilla. The people of Anguilla held them in high regard and gave them a mandate which they used and abused. Now it is your turn to cast judgment. I urge you, my fellow Anguillians, to vote smart, to vote with your heart, and to vote for the art, the Anguilla reliable team. That is your smart choice, my fellow Anguillians. The Anguilla reliable team is a team that will make your well-being, your interests paramount in everything that we do, paramount in our policies and our decision-making. We will make your interests paramount. So when you go to the polls on February 25th and 26th, vote for the art, vote for the green heart, vote for the Anguilla reliable team, the team that will lead us out of the darkness of yesterday and today. That darkness created by those two political parties. We will take you on to a place flowing with milk and honey, where everyone can live in dignity. Everyone can have the dignity of a job which pays, a job which provides a living wage for each and every Anguillian who dare to work. who wants to work. The Anguilla Reliable Team is your choice in this election. So in order not to make the tax burden on Anguilla overbearing, it is absolutely necessary for the government to generate as much revenue as possible from sources which do not overly burden the local residents. This is not to say that local residents shouldn't pay taxes. In fact, we pay lots of taxes. You know, the cost of fuel in Anguilla has remained stubbornly high. But you know what? I think it is over $5 EC in the price of fuel is tax. If it is so necessary to provide relief, we can provide some relief at the gas pump too. Because $5 in that price is tax. I get highly upset and annoyed when some people say to us that, oh, you all don't like to pay tax. We pay tax through our teeth. We pay tax through our teeth. We pay the stabilization levy. We've been paying that for the last 15 or 20 years. From time immemorial, we've been paying custom duties. We paid environmental levy on our electricity bills. We paid tax left, right, and center. We pay social security tax. So to say that we don't like to pay tax belies the fact. Because we have been paying tax all along. But when a people is taxed and taxed beyond the capacity to pay, we are criminalizing our population. And we should never come to that here in this rock. We should never come to that. Some of us have gone through great pain. And some of our forebears have gone through great agony in ensuring that there was something left behind for us. And APM came to the government to criminalize us and to take what was left from what our forebears had left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important that we, the electorate, cast judgment on the performance of the Anguilla poverty movement. And based on their record, their performance has been dismal. So kick them out and send them home. But we at the Anguilla Reliable Team, upon coming to office, the Anguilla Reliable Team will put in motion our 15-point plan to move us from where we are so as to get us to where we are to be. Our 15-point plan. What plan do they have for us other than taxes? What plan do they have for us other than taxes? We have a 15-point plan for the development of this country when you send us to office. A 15-point plan. And I'll go through a number of the areas for you. I'll go through some of the areas for you. Upon coming to office, the Anguilla Reliable Team will put in motion a 15-point plan to move Anguilla to where it ought to be. Our plan requires that we source an additional $500 million to $1 billion to ignite a sustainable economic development plan. We have a sustainable economic development plan that we want to put in motion. To put it in motion, we will not sit by and wait for investors to come to this rock. We will not sit by. We will go out and solicit investors. Tell them where is our major investment point within this island and get them to bring their money. We will leverage our other resources, such as our human capital, but we will ask them to come and invest. We will go out and solicit money between $500 million to $1 billion to come and activate with us our economic development plan, which we have. This will be reinforced and supplemented with a diversified, sustainable tourism development plan. Some of us, or some people among us, believe that development is only about economics. But I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, development is a lot more than just dollars and cents and economics. It's a lot more to development. Our tourism development plan, which will form the engines of our economy, will act to reinforce our economic development plan. In order to realize these two colossal pillars in our objectives, it is important that we have a sustainable population to partake of what development happens here. And when I say a sustainable population, right now, our population is about 13,000 people. Those 13,000 people is carrying the vast majority of the burden of a near $600 million budget. 13,000, and we have what? Maybe 4,000 or 5,000 who are working, because we have the old and the very old, and the young and the very young. So there's only a few thousand in the middle that are carrying the burden. In order for us to make our development plan sustainable, we also need a sustainable population. The question will then become, where do that population come from? Our first choice for population, my dear people, will be from the diaspora, the Anguillan diaspora that exists everywhere in this world. The Anguillan diaspora. Some live in St. Thomas, some live in St. Croix, some live in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, some live in New York, some live in Washington, D.C., some live in Canada, some live in the United Kingdom. We will impose policies that encourage these people to come to Anguilla and work, come to Anguilla and offer themselves as employees, and in some cases as employers, to partake in our development. This, we believe, ladies and gentlemen, is the correct way to go. Development, we're going to need people. When we have a sustainable population, we can lower the cost of everything around us because we have a wider base over which to spread it. Another part of our 15-point plan, ladies and gentlemen, is climate resilience. Climate resilience, in conjunction with these development initiatives, we will also build climate resiliency into our systems. This will include protection of our low-lying coastal areas, which house most of our tourism plant, and the fortification and rejuvenation of our coastal reef systems. Our coastal reef systems serve more than one function. It helps to break the energy from the waves hitting our shores and therefore mitigate beach erosion, but it also serves as a habitat for fish. So we will fortify these areas, ensure that they work for us. We will fortify these areas and ensure that they work for us. High on our priority list, ladies and gentlemen, high on our priority list is the renewable energy transition and resiliency. Sustainability and resilience will be built into our energy system so as to ensure the protection of our investment when we transition to renewable energy. When we say renewable energy, we don't mean solar alone. Solar has to be part of the mix. But there are a number of other areas that we can look into. There is wind energy. There is also thermal and ocean current energy. These are renewable sources of energy that we will also explore. With a mix of energy sources, we will build the resiliency required to ensure that our electricity, our energy grid is sustainable. It's sustainable. And that is what we have. That is what we need. It is also important that we explore all other viable forms of renewable energy sources, to include thermal, ocean thermal, and currents. We believe that a diverse energy renewable portfolio will help to improve the resiliency of our system. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, lastly, I'd like to touch, well, not lastly, but I'd like also to touch on our education system briefly. As we move deeper into this 21st century, it is becoming increasingly clear that our education system is in dire need of a serious overhaul. As a small island such as ours, where our people is in large part our only and most important resource, the education system has to be geared towards producing critical thinkers and problem solvers. If we listen to Aristotle last night, he clearly indicated that he was a critical thinker, and he is. That's why he was so proficient in dealing with the questions handed to him during that debate. We need to produce more critical thinkers and problem solvers coming out of our education system. We believe that it is prudent that we as a country should establish the objectives, what we want to get out of the system, the education system, then fashion a system based on the desired results. This we can do by adopting and modifying the best practices from around the world. Just a couple of days ago, ladies and gentlemen, I was reading an article where big Australia and New Zealand was sending their educational professionals to Singapore to see what they were doing, because Singapore has one of the highest achievement rates in maths and science. People who analyze things, solve things, problem solvers. We can do the same. We can do the same. Adopt best practices from around the world to our specific needs and make them our own to get results that we require. Critical thinkers and problem solvers. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to bore you anymore, but I would like to implore that you should go to the polls on the 25th and the 26th of February and vote for the team. Vote for the team that has your interests at heart. Ladies and gentlemen, the APM and the AUF has seen methods of operating. They have the same method of operating, which is a far cry from the change you, the electorate, voted for in 2020. I can honestly say that I saw it coming and I warned us about it, but we took their bait, hook, line, and sinker. As I say, they fooled us once, that's on them. They fooled us, that's on them. They shouted, hooray, hooray, we won. But if they fooled us twice, that's on us. We should never allow that to happen again. So send them home, and vote for the team that will govern this country in your interest. Vote for the heart. Vote for the Anguilla reliable team, your smart choice during this 2020 election. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, our next speaker is a man that I have great admiration for. He's a guy that is straightforward and very gentle, despite his size. Make welcome Evan Gums. Vote for Evan Gums on February the 25th and the 26th. Evan Gums, the heart.
Good night to the people of George Hill. Good night, District 4. Good night, Anguilla. I'm not going to be very long. My voice is under the weather a bit. I didn't bring a paper, so I just want to talk from the heart. As many of you would have known, I made the biggest political sacrifice in the history of Anguilla. I gave up my position as a candidate to run for election and endorsed Diane Kentish Rogers. I supported her wholeheartedly. I went all out and campaigned for her. I even left my job and campaigned for her. And I'm not running again for politics because I want to take revenge for my treatment. As a matter of fact, I'm not running against Diane Kentish Rogers. I'm running as an at-large candidate for the Anguilla Reliable Team. When I endorsed Diane in Island Harbor, I said to Diane, and I gave her an illustration of when a lady who had to make a decision on whether she should buy a tire for her car to take her to work or pay her daughter's school fee. And if you're in a position like that, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard spot. And that's how bad it was. And I said to Diane, don't let this happen again in the history of Anguilla. Lo and behold, Diane voted against GST, and I called her and applauded her for that. She stepped out, and she stepped back in with the same government that supported GST. Now the Bible says, anyone who's double-minded is unstable in all their ways. That's the Bible. The book that we all swear on when we go to the House of Assembly. Well, I don't do that. I affirm. But look at what's happening today. It's even worse than the lady having to make a decision of whether she should pay her child's school fees or buy a tire for her car. People are being pressured today on every angle. And if it had not been for the Anguilla Reliable Team, who constantly went on air and asked the government to remove the GST from food, it would not have been done. We constantly nag them, remove the GST from food. People are hurting. And they eventually did it. And then they said they're going to do it next year, which is the year that we're in now, 2025. And I went on radio and I said, remove the GST for Christmas so families can have a great time. And then they eventually did it. Anguilla Reliable Team is ready to challenge and take this country forward. We're here soliciting your support for the upcoming general elections, February 25th and 26th. This is a team that will represent you. I'm going to give you an illustration, another illustration. There was a lady, I got her to vote, and she was so hopeful. She voted 5 votes, 5 votes. And guess what? She lost her job at a hotel. And she was so hopeful. The government ministers went to the hotel and asked for the record of the lady. There was no record of wrongdoing, so she was terminated illegally. But little did they know, there was a problem between herself and the manager. He just hated the lady, and we will not allow this in our country. He went to the extent of getting into other hotels and letting them know that this lady is not good for the business. She applied at other hotels and was turned down because of this manager. And our jellyfish leaders went to the hotel, and guess what they told? They told the manager, if there's a vacancy, then call her back. She was never called. These are not the people that we asked to represent us. And I can hear Hayden Hughes now, my good buddy, and I don't hate anybody involved in politics, APM nor AUF. But what I hate is when you don't represent the people. I can hear Hayden now saying, for those of you in the hospitality industry, you now have a voice. Yes, they have a voice that's not speaking out for them. How can someone be terminated for doing no wrong and still can be reinstated in her job? And we have a government that's speaking about Anguilla force. Anguilla force, something is wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, the Anguilla Reliable team is here to defend you in the workplace. We're here to defend you wherever you're at. As long as you're right, we will defend you. If you're wrong, we will let you know that you are wrong. Anguilla is at a tough place right now. We're at the crossroads. If you don't make the right decision at the polls, we all will be in trouble. You want to know, there are lots of things that's going to happen. And I'm here to warn you. There's a big thing coming up at the hotels. There's going to be some big layoffs. Government don't want to be entangled in that, so they call a quick election. So the layoffs going to come soon after June, somewhere about there. And they will have to defend this. But when you get too close to the investor, that's a bad thing. I used to work with the Honorable Hubert Hughes, and we'll be invited to lunch meetings. I will go to the lunch meetings, and guess what? I'm going to a meeting. When I'm finished there, I leave and I go by Hungry's and get my food. I never ate, never even took a bottle of water. I'm above board. I stand on principle. I don't want to be eating with the investors. I prefer going to eat at the Chinese. I feel better there because all the locals are there. If I want to eat at an investor, I go with my own money. Not him inviting me for lunch and trying to bribe me. I don't take bribes. I believe in principle. I stand on principle. Ladies and gentlemen, when you stay that far and that clean, I always learn from Mr. Hughes. Once you stay clean, they have nothing on you, and that's true. So my record is clear, but I understand there's some layoffs that's going to be coming from hotels, and government don't want to deal with that. Another thing that we don't understand, and a lot of people are wondering why the government called a snap election. I want to send a message to Dr. Webster, just to remind him what happened to the Honorable James Ronald Webster when he called a snap election. He never saw the face of politics again. But if you have a budget of 500 and something million, and you're only raising 300 and something million, where will the balance come from for the budget? There's a shortfall. Guess what? Taxes are on the way. We understand there's going to be a double up in the GST and maybe other taxes. I heard Dr. Webster on radio said there will be no new taxes. But he said the same thing about GST. And he was supported by Hayden. It'll choke your favorite mango tree like your dad. And yet they introduced GST on the poor people of this country. People are hurting. I go to the supermarkets and I see people hurting daily. I see people itemizing their items down to the last dollar. It's tough on the people. And guess what? The ministers don't go to the shops. They don't meet up anybody. They don't have to ask anyone for help. But people are struggling. They need help. And they will not get help under this administration. I think this administration has served its time. It's time to go. And the Anguilla Reliable team is here to replace them. We will represent you as a people. I've been in government for 5 years. I've traveled to quite a few countries representing the country, my country, in dignity and in pride. And I made my country proud. And we have a team that's ready to make this country proud again. We will represent you at home and abroad. There's so much going on now with the election campaign, and everybody's scrambling, and we see all sorts of craziness. People are calling the ministers, the religious ministers, for award about the election, what's going to happen. And they were saying, all you have to do is say, landslide. Well, I'm sorry to say, landslide will come, but it will come from the other direction. I hope they're able to face it and deal with it. Because the Anguilla reliable team is the most underrated, but after election, we will be rated. We will represent you as the people. But we can't do it alone. We're asking for your full support on election day. Come on out, big numbers, vote for art, vote your heart, vote smart, vote for the Anguilla reliable team. Our leader is Mr. Curtis Richardson, a man who I admire. One thing I love about him is that he loves people, and he's always willing to help. And when he makes a decision, he stands up. We need someone who will stand up to the British and tell them, this is what we want, this is what we will get. I can remember as executive council when I was in government, the governor was writing a note for the Foreign and Commonwealth Office. And I said to her, I said, Governor, you can write whatever you want to the FCO. No one in the FCO voted for me. The people of this country voted for me. I will represent them. This is what I want for my people, and this is what I'm going to get. We took a time out, went outside, discussed with the chief. We went back in. He said, Governor, this is what we want. It was nothing illegal. It was all for the people of this country to benefit. And there's a lot to my record. I don't go on talking about my record. But there's something that I told Dr. Webster to do when it comes to the health. And I'm sure he have not done it. There are medical bills that are hanging over people's head. 20,000, some may be more, some may be less. Government will never get this money. Why not write it off and start on a new page? When we were in government, there were water bills, some $60 million in water bills. And we wrote off, no, I'm sorry, some $6 million in water bills. And we wrote all that off for the people of this country. Government was never going to get it. And it just was a noose around the people's neck. They couldn't get a tax clearance. They couldn't get this done because they owed the government. That's how things are going now. Everything is connected and tied. So we wrote it off. Today, people are back on the water line, back on the water system. And they're proud. People meet me all the time and say, thanks for what you've done. Guess what? I didn't do it for me. I never had a government water line. Still use my system. Not that I don't want it, but I don't really need it, so I take it. But it doesn't make any sense having something that's just sitting and paying money. So I did it for the people, not for me. And that's what I do when it comes to people. I'm not here because I wanted to be back in politics. I thought my days for politics was over. But everywhere I go, people saying, come back into politics. We need you back. We need you back. One of my friends told me, what are you going back into politics for? I said, there are more people and a lot more people asking me to come back into politics, comparing to those who are saying stay out. If I had 10 people told me stay out of politics, I had a lot. But I can guarantee you, there were tons and tons of people everywhere I go ask me to get back into politics. They asked me to get back into politics because they knew what I stand for. I stand on principle. I stand above board. No investor can bribe me. One investor said to me one time, he said, this project is going to work. I said, it's not going to work, but we're going to give you the green light. He said, after this project is up and running, I'm going to take you out for dinner. I said, sir, I cannot be bought or sold. I don't need your dinner. And I stood on principle. I'm not going out to eat with investors. It's not right. And we see the pictures all over of the government and what they're doing. And I get calls from the hotels. Oh, this minister was here, this minister was there. That's their principle they want to work on, fine with me, but I'm not going to be involved in that. I'm going to stay above board. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pretty long night, and I just want to encourage you all to come out and vote for our team. We don't have a candidate in this district, but on the right side of the ballot, you will see all the at-large candidates. And on the left, you'll see Diane Kentish Rogers and Cardell Richardson. That's your choice. Of those two, you may choose. But on the right side, we're asking you to shade all the green hearts. Anguilla Reliable Team. Our leader, Curtis Richardson, under the symbol of the green heart. Romel Hughes, under the symbol of the green heart. Bravo Duncan Webster, under the symbol of the green heart. And yours truly, Evan Gums, under the symbol of the green heart. We solicit your support, and we stand as a team, and we stand for you, and we will make you proud. Good night. May God bless you, and may God bless Anguilla.
Search my life, see if there be anything wrong that don't belong. Please take it out of me. I wanna be more than an ordinary.
Yes, Anguilla, the art party is going to be more than an ordinary soldier.
I wanna be more.
We are going to make the difference for you, the people of Anguilla. What the art party can do that no other party can do, we have the connectivity, we have the contacts to bring $500 million to $1 billion of new investment to Anguilla within 6 months. Within our team, we are well organized and united, and we have your interests at heart. We are going to take the GST off of household electricity. We are going to take the GST off of shipping, costs, insurance, and freight. And we are going to do away with the USL, the Universal Stabilization Levy. It was called the Interim Stabilization Levy because when the late Honorable Herbert Hughes came to office, he had to bridge a financial gap in the budget of $14 million. And that is why you, the people of Anguilla, were asked to bridge that gap. You, the people of Anguilla, supported him with that tax, and you bridged the gap. That's why I know that the people of Anguilla, you are great people. They turned that tax into a USL, a Universal Stabilization Levy. And today that tax is bringing in just over $17 million, but let us say $20 million. With the performance of the AI doing some $100 million, our government, the art government, is going to take away the Universal Stabilization Levy so that you can have your money back on your checks. That money, that 3% that was coming out of your paychecks, that is coming back to you when we come to office. We will also lighten the paperwork burden for many of you and your employers when we take away the Universal Stabilization Levy. You have a choice to vote for better and greater days by voting for the art. Go out on election day and vote for the heart. Wherever you see the heart, shade the little circle to the right of the heart. Take your time. Vote for the heart. Vote smart. Vote for the art. Thank you. Have a good night. And may God continue to bless you. And may God bless Anguilla.
If you want a sweet Anguilla, vote art. If you want a nice Anguilla, vote art. D1, vote art. D2, vote art. D3, vote art. D4, vote art. For the beautiful Anguilla, vote art. For the angry Anguilla, vote art. Vote